Bewitched aired from September 17, 1964 to March 25, 1972, and, owing to its tremendous popularity, continues to be broadcasted in reruns. The series centers on a witch who weds a mortal man and pledges to live the life of an ordinary housewife. Bewitched concluded as the second highest-rated show in America during its premiere season and was positioned at the 50 on Billboard's TV Guide's 50 Greatest TV Shows of All Time. Regrettably, the actors who portrayed the principal characters have passed away, so we'd like to take this moment to honor the show and the characters that brought joy to so many of us. Discover where the cast ventured after Bewitched here. Dick Sargent as Darren Stevens. After Dick York departed Bewitched, Dick Sargent assumed the role of Darren Stevens from seasons 6 to 8. Even without visuals, audiences could discern the difference. Sargent portrayed a slightly altered Darren compared to his predecessor. His portrayal was a tad more serene, exhibiting less indignation. He rationalized this by likening each season to a year of marriage. By the time he entered the picture, surely Darren would have grown somewhat accustomed to Samantha's antics. Agnes Moorehead, in her role as Endora, did not. Viewers evidently shared this sentiment, as the show's ratings declined by 13 places. He enjoyed a lengthy acting career both prior to and following Bewitched. He appeared on The Loretta Young Show in 1959 and also starred in the TV series One Happy Family in 1961. Post-Bewitched, he featured in the TV series Taxi in 1982 and numerous others, culminating in his final role in the film Acting on Impulse in 1993. His renown and career trajectory made him a sought-after guest star for Dukes of Hazzard and the Waltons. One of his most enduring roles came from his participation in 93 episodes of Down to Earth, which he remained committed to until his passing in 1994 following an extended battle with prostate cancer. Dick York as Darren Stevens. Darren Stevens, always on edge and resolute, grounded even, had no inkling of what he was getting himself into when he fell for Samantha Stevens. Even with the allure of a magic-free life, being married to a witch could be quite a tumultuous ride. Throughout it all, he had to contend with the formidable wrath of his new mother-in-law, Endora. There are scarce photographs of Dick York in his later years, as he departed quite early, but we recall him vividly as Darren Stevens on Bewitched from seasons 1 to 5. The bulk of York's acting tenure occurred long before his stint on Bewitched, in television series like Studio One in Hollywood, 1956-1958, and The Millionaire, 1958-1960. His career commenced when a Chicago nun recognized his vocal talents. Consequently, he brought a wealth of experience to his roles. That is, if he could muster the strength to make it to set. In 1959, while filming the movie Condura, York sustained a severe back injury. Despite lingering discomfort, he barely managed to attend set and even auditions for Bewitched. Eventually, he and the show had to part ways. By then, York had descended into a dark place. He spent 18 months confined to bed. Eventually, he found himself destitute while battling emphysema. Abruptly ceasing all addictive substances, he attempted an 80s resurgence through Fantasy Island. His final role came in the TV movie High School USA in 1984. Despite never truly experiencing a comeback, he established Acting for Life, a private charity aimed at aiding the homeless. He passed away in 1992 after a prolonged battle with emphysema. David White as Larry Tate. Larry Tate is perhaps depicted in the lexicon as the epitome, albeit exaggerated, portrayal of a businessman. He'll echo whatever the client desires to hear if it means sealing a deal. At times, he shifts his stance entirely from one moment to the next. Despite this, he held significant importance as he offered steadfast companionship to Darren and represented one aspect of Darren's life where he felt somewhat in command. Portrayed by David White, Larry Tate was a recurring character from seasons 1 to 5 and a main character in seasons 6 to 8. He graced the screens of shows such as Peter Gunn, The Untouchables, Mission, Impossible, and Bonanza, among other notable productions. Additionally, he made appearances in 2 episodes of The Twilight Zone. Beyond television, he portrayed an unfaithful executive in the 1960 film The Apartment. While renowned for his comedic timing, he also secured a role in another beloved series, Dynasty. His final performance was in a short film titled Mergers and Acquisitions in 1989. He passed away in 1990 due to a heart attack. George Tobias as Abner Kravitz. George Tobias, renowned for his portrayal of Abner Kravitz on the television sitcom Bewitched from 1964 to 1971. Tobias embarked on his acting journey at the age of 15 at New York's neighborhood playhouse. He graced the stage in Eugene O'Neill's The Hairy Ape in 1922, followed by appearances in Charles Maray's La Flamme and Channing Pollock's The Fool the subsequent year. He then made his Broadway debut in Maxwell Anderson's What Price Glory in 1924. In 1939, he inked a contract with Warner Bros. And landed supporting roles, often appearing alongside James Cagney, such as in the musical Yankee Doodle Dandy, 1942, and with Gary Cooper in the drama Sergeant York, 1941, as well as Irving Berlin, Ronald Reagan, and George Murphy in This Is the Army, 1943. In 1950, he portrayed a cold-blooded murderer and criminal in the film Noir South Side 1000. A supporter of the Democratic Party, he endorsed Adlai Stevenson during the 1952 presidential election. On February 27, 1980, Tobias succumbed to bladder cancer at the age of 78 at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles. During transit to the mortuary, the momentarily unattended van transporting Tobias's remains from the hospital was hijacked and driven 3 blocks before the perpetrators noticed the body. They promptly abandoned the vehicle and, as reported, fled in terror from the scene. Casey Rogers as Louise Tate. Casey Rogers, renowned for her portrayal of the second Louise Tate in the beloved U.S. television sitcom Bewitched. Rogers initially worked under the aliases Laura Elliott and Laura Elliott for Paramount Pictures. She graced the silver screen in films like Special Agent, Samson and Delilah, Silver City, Paid in Full, Two Lost Worlds, and, notably, Alfred Hitchcock's Strangers on a Train, where she portrayed Miriam, the conniving, unfaithful wife of Guy Haines. During the mid-1950s, Rogers transitioned to television. She made guest appearances on various series including Sergeant Preston, Stage 7, The Restless Gun, The Lone Ranger, Bat Masterson, Maverick, Yancey Derringer, Perry Mason, where she played Francie Keene in the wanted Dead or Alive episode Railroaded, and numerous other programs. In 1964, she secured a leading role on Peyton Place, essaying the character Julie Anderson, Betty Anderson's mother. In the 1970s, she developed an interest in motorcycles after her son took up riding and later racing at the tender age of 9. Rogers immersed herself in the realm of motocross racing. Following a prolonged battle with throat cancer, Rogers experienced cardiac arrest. Subsequently, she suffered a stroke and passed away in Los Angeles, California, on July 6, 2006, at the age of 80. Agnes Moorehead as Endora. Dear Mother Endora proves that love conquers all by constantly attempting to sabotage the relationship between her magically gifted witch daughter and her mere mortal husband, what's-his-name Deerwood. Despite her antics, it's evident that Endora truly cares, as she even threatens a warlock over Darren's well-being. Agnes Moorehead portrayed the character of Endora on the series. The opportunity arose during a shopping excursion when Elizabeth Montgomery and series director Bill Asher spotted her at Bloomingdale's. Born in 1900, she commenced her acting career in 1941 with the role of Mary Kane in the film Citizen Kane. Alongside her successful film career, she ventured into radio, stage, and television. Additionally, she made an appearance in an episode of The Twilight Zone. She's one of those remarkable actors who may not hold the lead role but can effortlessly steal the show, hence becoming the first woman to co-host the Oscars alongside Dick Powell in 1948. Moorhead remained active in her career until her passing in 1974, with her final role being in the TV movie Rex Harrison Presents Stories of Love. Alice Pierce as Gladys Kravitz. Pierce portrayed comedic supporting characters in numerous films before landing the role of nosy neighbor Gladys Kravitz in the TV series BEWITCHED in 1964. She started performing in nightclubs as a comedian and secured a part in the original Broadway run of On the Town, 1944-1946. Gene Kelly was so impressed by her talent that she was the sole cast member chosen for the film adaptation in 1949. Her comedic skills garnered praise from both critics and audiences. She even had her own television variety program, The Alice Pierce Show. Subsequent film roles followed, and she graced the Broadway stage, where she met her husband, director Paul Davis, during a performance of Bells Are Ringing. Pierce entered matrimony twice. Her union with composer John Rocks in 1948 lasted until his passing in 1957. In 1964, she wed stage manager Paul Davis, with whom she remained until her demise. Pierce received a terminal cancer diagnosis before BEWITCHED commenced. Despite keeping her illness concealed, her significant weight loss during the sitcom's second season was noticeable. She succumbed to ovarian cancer toward the end of BEWITCHED's second year, at the age of 48. Sandra Gould as Gladys Kravitz. Sandra Gould, renowned for her portrayal of Gladys Kravitz on the television series BEWITCHED, Gould assumed the role as the second actress, commencing at the outset of the third season. Her acting career commenced with an uncredited appearance in T-Men, 1947, followed by the role of the phone operator in Romance on the High Seas, 1948, marking Doris Day's cinematic debut. Throughout the remainder of the decade, she featured in various uncredited roles before receiving screen credits for The Story of Molly X, 1949. Concurrently, Gould enjoyed a prosperous 4-year stint as Miss Duffy, the romantically inclined daughter of the perpetually absent owner of radio's Duffy's Tavern. Gould, who embraced Judaism, experienced matrimony twice. She was widowed by broadcasting executive Larry Burns and television film director Hollingsworth Morse. Her union with Burns bore one son, Michael Burns, in 1965. Following heart surgery, Gould succumbed to a stroke on July 20, 1999, in Burbank, California, 3 days before her 83rd birthday. She was cremated, and her son received her ashes upon her passing. Marion Lorne, as Aunt Clara. Her recurring portrayal as Aunt Clara in the sitcom BEWITCHED, from 1964 until her passing in 1968, garnered widespread recognition, and she posthumously received an Emmy Award for Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Comedy Series. Lorne made her Broadway debut in 1905. She also performed in London's theater scene, enjoying a successful stage career on both sides of the Atlantic Ocean. In London, she owned her own theater, the Whitehall, where she starred in productions written by her husband, Walter C. Hackett. None of her shows at the Whitehall had runs shorter than 125 nights. Lorne appeared in 27 episodes of BEWITCHED and was not replaced following her death from a heart attack in her Manhattan residence on May 9, 1968, at the age of 84, just before the commencement of filming for the show's 5th season. She was laid to rest at Ferncliff Cemetery in Greenburgh, New York. Bernard Fox as Dr. Bombay. He is renowned for his portrayals, notably as Dr. Bombay in the comedic fantasy series BEWITCHED, 1964-1972. Fox embarked on his film journey at the age of 18 months, and by the time he turned 14, he was an apprentice assistant manager at a theater. Following his service in the Royal Navy during World War II and the Korean War, he resumed his acting career, gracing the screens in over 30 cinema productions from 1956 to 2004, including 2 cinematic retellings of the tragic sinking of the RMS Titanic. Fox made appearances as a British major in The Phantom Major, Episode 3 of F Troop, and in Tea and Empathy, Episode 18 of Season 6 of MASH. In 1964, he featured in Episode 117 of The Dick Van Dyke Show, titled Girls Will Be Boys, portraying the father of a little girl who consistently outdoes Richie Petrie. Additionally, he appeared in Teacher's Petrie, portraying a night school creative writing instructor, and in Never Bathe on Saturday as the house detective. In 1965, Fox made a guest appearance on Perry Mason as Peter Stange in The Case of the Laughing Lady. Fox and his spouse had 2 daughters, Amanda and Valerie. On the morning of December 14, 2016, Fox passed away due to heart failure at Valley Presbyterian Hospital in Van Nuys, California. He was 89 years old, Paul Lynde as Uncle Arthur. Even though he only made brief appearances, Uncle Arthur quickly became a beloved character among fans. Who doesn't adore a mischievous prankster? His penchant for humor made him a perfect counterpart to the haughty, irritable Endora, and added another layer of challenge for Darren, right in his own household. Uncle Arthur symbolizes the audience's desire for magic. Upon completing college, Lynde relocated to New York City, taking on various jobs while pursuing his big break in show business. His comedic debut took place at the renowned supper club No. 1 Fifth Avenue. Lynde made his Broadway premiere in the popular revue New Faces of 1952, sharing the stage with other emerging talents such as Eartha Kitt, Robert Clary, Alice Ghostly, and Carol Lawrence. In his memorable monologue from the revue, titled Trip of the Month Club, Lynde portrays a man on crutches recounting his amusing misadventures on an African safari trip with his late wife. The revue was later filmed and released as New Faces in 1954. Actor Paul Lynde embodied the essence of Arthur and resonated with many of his admirers, even if they were unaware of it. This comedic genius became a center square on the Hollywood squares, earning him recognition alongside host Peter Marshall. Despite achieving considerable fame in show business, it wasn't quite what he yearned for. Deep down, he harbored numerous insecurities, from concerns about his weight to his homosexuality. Throughout his life, he pursued dreams of becoming a movie star, until his untimely passing at the age of just 55. Elizabeth Montgomery as Samantha Stevens. Samantha Stevens truly possessed enchanting qualities. She had to navigate the complexities of domestic life while adapting to an entirely new way of living. All of this unfolded beneath the disapproving gaze of her mother, Endora. With Elizabeth Montgomery leading the charge, Samantha emerged as a revolutionary female TV protagonist. Finally, women were portrayed with respect, showcasing their capabilities beyond societal constraints. Montgomery's own idiosyncrasies, notably her nervous habits, even contributed to solidifying Samantha's iconic nose twitch. Despite achieving household recognition, Montgomery aspired to transcend her portrayal as the quirky witch from the magical series. She hailed from a lineage of entertainment royalty, with her mother being Broadway actress Elizabeth Allen, and her career commenced through her father Robert's 1950s series, Robert Montgomery Presents. Over time, Montgomery embraced roles with much darker themes. Among the darkest was her performance in 1974's A Case of Rape, while under contract with ABC, which brought the issue of sexual assault to the forefront, challenging the notion that women should suffer in silence. While Montgomery was renowned for her leading role in Bewitched, she also took on prominent roles in other films such as The Legend of Lizzie Borden, 1975, and Deadline for Murder, From the Files of Edna Buchanan, 1995. She remained active in TV movies and series, and equally engaged in her personal life, advocating for marriage equality and raising awareness about the AIDS epidemic. Remarkably, she continued her advocacy efforts while battling colon cancer until her passing in 1995. Erin Murphy as Tabitha Stevens. When Elizabeth Montgomery became pregnant, the show introduced a child for the Stevens family. This child turned out to be the adorable blonde Tabitha, a half-witch. 5 different infants portrayed Tabitha during Season 2, but by Season 3, it was solely Erin Murphy and her twin, Diane. Then, in the following season, Erin assumed the lead role as Tabitha. Murphy was just a toddler when she made her debut on the show. She and her twin outshined Helen Hunt and Jodie Foster to secure the role. While she is predominantly recognized for her portrayal in Bewitched, she has also featured in various other television movies and series such as Lassie in 1973, The Comeback Kids from 2014-2015, and, most recently, in TV Therapy 2019, reprising her bewitched character, Tabitha. Beyond television, she has appeared in over 80 commercials, including a detergent advertisement alongside Ronald Reagan. Presently, she is 59 years old. All of us at DYR are delighted to share a captivating photograph from the Facebook page by one of our supporters, Malia Griffin. We have a Samantha Stevens statue in my hometown of Salem, MA, where several Bewitched episodes were filmed back in the day, she shares. Before we end, we want to address a misconception. Despite what some might claim, not all of the actors from Bewitched met tragic ends. While it's true that some faced challenges or health issues, many lived long and fulfilling lives. Thank you for joining us on this journey. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content.